It all started over 60 years ago when NASCAR founder Bill France and a group of upstate racing pioneers lit the NASCAR flame in the upstate by scratching out the Greenville-Pickens Speedway Oval from the earth near the Greenville and Pickens County line. On the one hand, it's a relic of the first generation of stock car racing, born in the fertile imagination of promoter Bill France Sr., NASCAR's founder, who barnstormed the South after World War II with the seed of a vision that has grown bigger than even he dared dream. On the other hand, it's a treasure, a sanctuary for racing fans priced out of the backstretch grandstands at Cup races. They can still settle near the finish line on Saturday night with the wife and kids for $20 and literally see the drivers sweat and hear them cuss. And it's a shrine to the history of the sport where Curtis Turner, Lee Petty, Buck Baker, and Ralph Earnhardt swapped paint and coarse words for 200 laps, hugging the tight corners of the half-mile track, then going off into the night as the best of friends. Greenville-Pickens' place in history is secure as the site of the first NASCAR race televised nationally from start to finish on April 10, 1971. But that future was tentative at best in those early years, as France and the original founders left the upstate a few seasons after the inaugural event in 1946. Lots of things could have happened to the racetrack and the 155-acre property after those initial years, and the NASCAR flame lit by France and the founding fathers could well have dwindled and been extinguished. But in 1955, only 9 years after those first laps had been turned on the nation's second oldest NASCAR track, Tom Blackwell, along with brother Pete, bought the track and the land it sits on in December of 1955. Tom ran an amusement company, Jukeboxes, and Pete was a printer at the Greenville News Piedmont. They had been drawn to racing during periodic visits to local tracks, sensed its connection to the mill workers and farmers, and saw a window of opportunity. It became a lifelong avocation. Pete, who ran the office just outside Turn 3, passed away in 2000 after a lengthy bout with lung cancer. Tom, who had been the outside man responsible for keeping the track in shape and keeping races on schedule, carried on. Under the Blackwells, the track's growth was steady, even after NASCAR cut GPS and several of the circuit's smaller tracks from its schedule after the 1971 season and began to concentrate on bigger venues. In those days, they'd take a car and put some bars in it and call it a race car, Blackwell said. Sometimes they wouldn't go to the expense and simply commandeer the family car. GPS became affiliated with France's NASCAR and staged its first Grand National event on August 25, 1951. It was won by Bobby Flock in his Gray Ghost Oldsmobile. Bill France had a vision for racing, Blackwell said. I was in a meeting with him in 1959. And he said one of these days racing's going to be the biggest thing in what they call sports. With 2 regular slots on the Grand National schedule, NASCAR's top circuit at the time, the track saw the best in the business over the years. And through it all, the Blackwell brothers guided and steered the track through the best and the worst of times. The Blackwells made lifelong friends with many of the drivers and their families, and among their favorites were the Pearsons, the Lindleys, and the Earnhardts. 2-time track champion Ralph Earnhardt, 1965 and 66, was frequently accompanied by his son Dale, who'd occasionally require a whipping after getting muddy playing in the creek along the track property. When he was a kid, Dale met a lot of people here. He connected with those people, Blackwell said. It was special to Earnhardt that his father's name, along with those of every track champion, including Grady Hawkins, despite not winning a race in 1957, is painted on the backstretch wall. The Wall of Fame includes David Pearson, Butch Lindley, Robert Presley, Buddy Howard, Marty Ward, and Donnie Bishop. Until 1970, the track's surface was clay. Tom Blackwell kept the clay in peak shape by pouring hundreds of gallons of water on the surface for about 8 hours the night before every race. Man who runs a dirt racetrack wants to punish himself, Blackwell said. You worry with a racetrack all week. If it come up a good rain on Saturday after you watered it on Friday, put you out of business quick. It was on that track that drivers such as Richard Petty and Pearson, the 1959 GPS points champion, began to script their legends. Former driver Ned Jarrett described the track to writer Mike Hembry for the book Taking Stock, published in 2002. It fit a smooth driver, someone who had a soft touch with the accelerator. Petty was good there, and Pearson, Jarrett said. The track didn't favor those dramatic-type drivers who threw the cars in the corners like a Junior Johnson or a Curtis Turner. In 1970, its next to last year as a Winston Cup Speedway, the track's dirt surface was paved. GPS staged its final Grand National race on June 26, 1971. Petty was the winner, but the track hasn't missed a beat with its regular Saturday night programs featuring late model stock, street stock, and Charger Division races. The track also hosts NASCAR's Goodies Dash at All-Pro Series. Blackwell says that while he cherishes the memories of having a special seat as racing history passed through the upstate, it didn't come without a cost. All these years, Blackwell said, I haven't been home on Saturday night except for the wintertime. Over 50 years later, the NASCAR flame lit in the upstate by Bill France and those racing pioneers that had the vision of the Greenville-Pickens Speedway burns as bright as ever. And the 50-plus year caretaker of that flame is the biggest reason upstate race fans can call this sacred place, this hallowed ground, their NASCAR home in the upstate. And today, thanks to the Blackwell brothers and to Tom's guiding effort that persists to this day, Greenville-Pickens Speedway is the envy of short tracks throughout the nation as one of the best attended tracks with the greatest driver involvement in the nation.